Hi, this is JR, and this is how to benefit from change. Number one, be willing to benefit. That includes being open to skepticism, as in curiosity. That doesn't have any particular bias as to whether something is true or false, just interest, without the presumption that something isn't true or the presumption that it is true. Be willing to benefit. Number two, be willing to change. That's open to criticism. Not only being critical in one's thinking, but in particular, being open to criticism from other people. If there were to be criticisms from outside sources saying, well, but don't you think, and whatever else there would be to say, is someone willing to change their behavior even when confronted with criticism? How willing are you to get benefits by changing your behavior, even if that means that there might be some internal criticism? Maybe I would say to myself, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe, oh, it's okay to do this. Well, the point is, do I want to align myself with the benefits that are available and change my behavior in order to access those benefits? Number one and two. Now, number three is be attentive to what is changing and what benefits are available. We could even call this number one, but I do like to add that what could be changing is how willing I am to benefit and how willing I am to change. And then I'm attentive to what's changing, including my own willingness. And also attentive to what benefits are available. Number four is change your behavior to receive the benefits available. In my case, change my behavior to receive the benefits available. So I'm attentive, I'm willing, and naturally, change results, benefits result. So this is a two-part presentation, with part one being on the benefits of health, featuring the story of my overnight recovery of the ability to walk. That was in early 2007. Part two is on the benefits of wealth, and that features some references to the benefits available from my forecasting of the global economic shift toward adaptive conservatism and away from speculative euphoria about things like real estate, debt, stocks, and most recently, gold. So we'll start with some references to health. They may be of great interest to you, but they're just kind of an interesting story. They may be of interest to you in relation to your own health, but it's just a kind of a distinctive story. And then I'll talk more about the economic and financial opportunities and risks that are shifting in recent years and in the current time and in the years to come. So part one. In early 2007, I suddenly lost the ability to walk without the use of one of my legs. I did not know the cause, and the medical professionals that I consulted did not identify a useful cause either, nor did they promise any recovery. So they didn't say, well, you have this, we need to do less of it, or you don't have enough of that, we need to do more of it. Really, there was no particular value in the long run to my consulting with those medical professionals. So after several weeks of barely sleeping, getting less than an hour of sleep per night, and using a walker to slowly get around, I spoke with someone who indicated that she recognized my symptoms as similar to those of someone who had a deficiency in the electrical insulation that helps in the transmitting of nerve signals. So if you imagine, a wire, and then the insulation that goes around a wire, and it allows for, in the case of a regular wire, the regular electrical signal, like a cord, the regular electrical signal transmits better because there's that insulation. Well, a nerve isn't a whole lot different. there's the actual nerve where the signal transmits, and then there's some insulation around the nerve, and that's called a myelin sheath. That electrical insulation is called a myelin sheath, and that myelin is a type of fat tissue which forms a protective barrier between the nerve fiber and the surrounding tissue, so the electrical signal can go straight through the nerve very efficiently without shorts and without the signal diminishing in quality. Just like in a regular cable or cord. Making a lot of noise here. Here's my power cable. It's got a really thick, well-insulated wire here because there's a lot of electricity that flows through a power strip like that. So it can handle a lot of electricity and efficiently because of all that insulation. Anyway, so this lady that I was talking to, she invited me to try using what had already been successful in improving the case of that other person that she already knew who had similar symptoms to what I did, and then had a profound and quick and inexpensive recovery. So I spent around $10 to purchase that substance, and that substance has been commonly consumed by humans for about the last 10,000 years. But in the last century, it's become increasingly rare, at least in civilized areas, and so I had to go out of my way to get it. But after consuming 1 pint of that substance at a cost of, I got 2 pints for a little bit more than $10 total, including shipping. Well, after consuming about 1 pint of that substance, I was able to sleep 6 hours that night, which was about as much as I had slept in the previous 2 weeks combined. So naturally, I had been somewhat delirious. Anyway, after all that nice, restful sleep, I recovered the ability to walk. Literally an overnight recovery of the ability to walk. Again, it only cost me about $10, and I was 36 years old at the time. You can see that it's end of 2011 now. So back in early 2007, I was not a whole lot younger than I am now. I'm doing the math now. 2007, right, 36. So let's review the key issues of this story. I experienced a breakdown which surprised me. In that case, a nervous or neurological breakdown, as in a stroke. I was motivated to improve my fitness and willing to change my behavior to produce that improvement. I was willing to ask for help. Even repeatedly not being helped, I was still open to receive help because you might say I was desperate in the sense of very focused on recovering the ability to walk. Very much value associated with walking. I'd done it before. I wanted to do it again. Not being able to do it was a major adjustment for me. And fortunately, I got the walker and was able to get around a little bit. But I was really motivated to recover the ability to walk, as well as have a restful sleep and have my neurological function in general be working well, because it hadn't been over the period of several weeks. In fact, prior to my being unable to walk, there was a incremental deterioration, and I wanted to have all of my communication abilities, all of my intellectual abilities, all of my physical walking abilities. I wanted to have all those abilities back, and maybe even better health than I had previously ever had. But at least to recover the functionality that I previously had, I was quite motivated to do that. You could even say desperate. So I was willing to ask for help. I asked even people that I didn't necessarily have a lot of confidence in their capacity to help, based on their lack of success in prior cases, but nevertheless. So I was skeptical. I was open but skeptical of medical professionals, and I was especially skeptical of their claims of the existence of conditions that are physiologically incurable, which is what their standard diagnostic language implies, rather than them just admitting that they have a limited understanding of physiology and of how to promote physiological improvements. So the historic case that I think of is scurvy. So when a medical professional calls something incurable, or someone in the media, or someone, in the general public who's been listening to the media or medical professionals, and they call something incurable like scurvy, that just means that they personally probably do not understand how to cure it. They're saying, I don't know how to cure it. Maybe they do know how, and they're saying they don't know how, but probably they really don't know how to cure it, which would, in the case of scurvy, be by eating things with vitamin C. That's all that would be involved. And their lack of understanding, that means they do not understand the foundations of nutrition or physiology. Again, we might presume that medical professionals with a lot of training might be pretty competent in matters of the foundations of nutrition and physiology, but they might not. Their training is within certain specific methodologies from a certain perspective, and that's the extent of their training. They might get additional training outside of regular medical school or a typical medical school, but generally speaking, learning how to perform surgery has very little to do with learning the biochemistry of nutrition and developmental physiology and organ function and so on. So there's a huge amount of knowledge that people might know without knowing how a particular vitamin like vitamin C or vitamin B17 affects the overall physiology of an organism. So I was willing to benefit. I was not able to walk, so I was very urgently motivated to have some improvement. I was willing to benefit, even if that meant using a method unfamiliar to me. When I found something that did work for me, any outside criticism was irrelevant to me. I mean, if someone were to say to me, well, you should stop using that because it's dangerous to you or something like that, well, I had just recovered the ability to walk and I was sleeping again. Other people's criticism would have been entirely irrelevant, of no concern to me at all. I was interested in walking. I was interested in the results and the benefits available from having restful sleep and so forth. I was not particularly interested in avoiding criticism. If people had criticism for me, I wasn't really interested in their criticism. I was interested in the benefits of being able to walk and so forth. So I was too motivated to receive the benefits of the ability to walk for any criticism to deter me. I had accepted the possibility that my physical health might deteriorate quickly and I might soon die. Again, I had a major decrease in my functionality with everything, all the circumstances of my life at the time. If there was not a pretty significant shift, how was I going to get along well in life? So one of the things that happened in regard to me asking for help, I really was confronted with asking people for help, telling people, hey, things aren't going very well for me. Things are not what I'd like them to be. And so, there are other occasions where that might be the situation for me, whether I'm lost. One of the classic humorous statements about guys is if they're lost, well, there's the point in time at which they realize that they're lost, and then there's the point in time at which they ask someone for help, which could be hours later, for instance. Well, for me, I'm willing to ask for help, and not only ask for help in situations where maybe things are going poorly, but let's say things are going fine. I might also be willing to ask for support and guidance even when things are not desperate. They're fine. But I'm open to benefits. I'm willing to benefit, at least as much as I am at any particular time. So I accepted the possibility that my physical health might deteriorate quickly and that I might die soon. So I was far more committed to recovering and thriving than to avoiding criticism. If the price of thriving is witnessing the criticism of some jealously terrified folks that are concerned about their own health, for instance, so be it. In fact, I was more terrified than they were. That made it very simple. I was so terrified that I was willing to change. I don't know if terrified is the best word, but close enough. I was so motivated to thrive and to survive and to live, and I didn't really have a particular expectation to recover the ability to walk, but I was very interested in that because I had been walking just weeks prior, and it really, really was very useful and valuable to me to be able to walk. If you don't know that, don't do it for a few weeks, and you might find the same thing. So, when someone who gave me a simple explanation relevant to my situation, and then added to their credibility even a single report of a case of prior success, I was willing to explore their method. With 10,000 years of favorable results behind their method, I was open to spending $10 to test it for myself. It worked. I recovered the ability to walk, and my neurological functionality dramatically improved. Even though I've not had any breakdowns like that in the several years since then, I have continued to consume that substance. I have some in the other room. I may pause this to go show you what it is. But by the way, in only 8 of the 50 states of the U.S. is it legal to sell this substance to the general public. You're curious now. I'm going to stop right there. I'll show you what it is.